Right, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today and welcome to our second Agency Pathways Internship webinar. My name is Brady Pyle and I joined NASA a little more than 25 years ago through the Cooperative Education Program. That was the predecessor to the Pathways Intern program that you're learning about today. 25 years later, I'm now the Director of Human Resources Services for NASA. And it's an exciting place to be. We're really happy that you could join us today. You're going to learn a lot about the Pathways Internship Program, deadline dates along with center locations, our application process, more information about the NASA mission, and you'll also have an opportunity to hear from a couple of Pathways interns who are going to share their experiences and their stories about what it's like being a Pathways intern and why they chose NASA as an employer. We have an exciting year ahead at NASA as we make a new mark in keeping the promise. In 2019, we have new missions and systems. In fact, we're celebrating the 19th year of astronauts living aboard the International Space Station. We're launching new science. We're learning more about our universe. We're reaching new heights in flight, and we're taking technology to new levels. And of course, we need business professionals to support all those exciting missions as well. None of this great work could be achieved without the amazing people that we have at NASA. And we're particularly excited that you're considering joining us, joining the NASA mission. Being the best place to work in the federal government the past 7 years, we strive to reach for the stars and land on the planets. To begin, we want to show you a video about how we explore the extraordinary every day and why we are NASA. Once again, we thank you for joining us today as you learn more about what it takes to be a NASA Pathways intern.
Ignition sequence start. All engines are running.
We have taken tremendous steps.
We choose to go to the moon before this decade is out.
We have achieved the earth-shaking, the breathtaking, the groundbreaking,
One small step for man.
and left a mark in the heavens. Our successes build one upon another and amplify what is possible.
The dawn of Orion.
It's time we take the next great leap. We're building the next chapter of American exploration, returning to the moon to stay, so we can go beyond to Mars, to expand what's possible and further our understanding. The architecture for these missions is already taking shape. We will go with new systems, bold designs, and a sustainable mission. You can hear it, taste it, touch it. We are going. We are training, testing, pressing our pioneering spirit into every component, defining our resolve with every line of code, and securing our success with every welcomed partnership. This is not hypothetical. This is not about flags and footprints. This is about sustainable science and feeding forward the advance of the human spirit. Because we are the pioneers, the star sailors, the thinkers, the visionaries, the doers. And because we stand on the shoulders of giants to go farther than humanity has ever been, we will add our names to the rolls of the greatest adventurers in history. Every day, every mission, we advance this calling. We are NASA. And after 60 years, we're just getting started.
Hello, everyone. It is so wonderful to bring you this Pathways webinar today. My name is Letitia Hawkins, and I am so excited that we have reached capacity for this webinar. We are at 1,000 plus participants. Thank you so much for joining. I want you to know that it really excites me because I am presenting to future NASA employees, future NASA interns, and I actually started as a Presidential Management Fellow, which is part of the Pathways suite of programs. So let's get right into it. I'm going to be joined today by Julie Cliff from Marshall Space Flight Center, Jessica Snyder from Langley Research Center, Marisa Garcia from Marshall Space Flight Center. I want to give you some administrative information at first. If you have any questions at any time during this webinar, please place your questions in the left-hand side of your desktop. You'll see an area for questions and answers, and you can just type those in. And we have our colleagues in the background who are going to start answering your questions as soon as you start presenting them. Also, we'll do our very best to answer any questions, but know that at the end of our webinar, we will have about 20 minutes post-webinar for you to continue to post questions for answering, as well as a live Q&A answer and question and answer session. Also, at the end of the webinar, you will be able to download a link to the recording of this webinar. And you will also get a survey from SurveyMonkey that we would love for you to fill out so that we can continue to bring you quality webinars that will interest you. Finally, you can also download a PDF copy of this presentation after the webinar is over. You'll be able to download it right away from Adobe Connect. So let's get started. On the next slide, you'll see NASA's agency goals. And we put this up here because we want you to understand that NASA not only impacts its local research community, but we also reach out to humanity. The things that we do at NASA, our science, our engineering, our administrative work, it spins off into the greater environment. So as you can see, part of our agency goals are to expand human knowledge through new scientific discoveries. We want to extend the human presence deeper into space and to the moon for sustainable long-term exploration and utilization. We want to address national challenges and catalyze economic growth and optimize capabilities and operations. When you work at NASA, it's a global impact. So hopefully you'll be able to participate in what we do one day. As you can see, this map shows where NASA centers and facilities are located across the United States. We have 10 NASA centers throughout the country. This map shows where we're located, but being more specific, our headquarters is located in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C. NASA Ames Research Center, where I work, is located in Mountain View, California. Armstrong Flight Research Center is located in Edwards, California. Glenn Research Center is located in Cleveland, Ohio. Goddard Space Flight Center is located in Greenbelt, Maryland. Johnson Space Flight Center is located in Houston, Texas. Kennedy Space Center is located at Cape Canaveral, Florida. Langley Research Center is located in Hampton, Virginia. Marshall Space Flight Center is located in Huntsville, Alabama. And finally, the Stennis Space Center and our NASA Shared Services Centers are both located in Hancock County, Mississippi. Now let's move on to some specifics about how we hire interns here at NASA. There are two main ways that we hire interns. One is through the Pathways program, and the other is through the NASA Internships and Fellowships program, or NIPS. The Pathways route is how we bring in civil servants to work on our NASA projects. The NIST program is the non-civil servant route. The application systems both are through web-based application systems, and as you can see, the URLs are here, and when you download the presentation, you'll be able to go click on those and view the applications. The websites where you can get not only just the applications, but greater information about the breadth of these two programs, Pathways and NIFS, are located on the websites that you also find posted here. The hiring is done basically through the semester process. So with Pathways, the semesters are spring, fall, and summer. For NIFS, you also have spring, summer, and fall. The hiring semesters for spring, summer, and fall for NIFS, the deadlines for the summer program is April 1st and the fall program is July 1st. Currently, NIFS program coordinators are looking for applications for their spring 2019 program. So please be sure to go to that website right away to check out what's available. And because the Pathways program has postings throughout the year for our NASA centers, make sure that you go on a regular and recurring basis to the USA Jobs website or our NASA Careers website so that you can see what's new at NASA. How you apply for Pathways, internships, and NIST internships. So, for the requirements, you have to be a U.S. citizen, successfully completed at least 30 semester hours of an undergraduate program. You must be currently enrolled in an accredited program at an accredited college or university. And here you will see the links for accredited engineering programs and then all other programs. Currently, you have to maintain a GPA of 2.9 or higher on a 4.0 scale. And you must be able to complete at least 640 hours of Pathways work experience at the center in which you're hired prior to completing your degree requirements. You must have at least one academic year remaining in your degree program to be a Pathways intern. When you go to USA Jobs and apply for Pathways positions, be very careful to look at the requirements for each position because some centers' requirements may vary. Veterans preference also applies when you are applying for Pathways positions. You will have to be sure by that looking at the link for the requirements that you do qualify for veterans preference. And if you do, you can get more information at USA Jobs and at the link posted on how to make sure you have the proper documentation to support your claim for veterans preference. So that's my part of this presentation for now, and I am going to introduce to you my colleague, Julie Cliff. Julie is from Marshall Space Flight Center.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today. As Letitia mentioned, my name is Julie Clift. I'm the Pathways Lead at Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama. So I'm going to show you a list of typical degree fields here. Most people think that we only hire engineers. However, that's not the case. About 30% of our hires are actually from mission support roles. So those may include areas like human resources, public relations, education, and many others. However, we do hire 70% of our degrees are in STEM fields, and some of the more popular ones include mechanical, aerospace, electrical, and computer engineering, to name a few. This is not a list of all the inclusive degrees that we hire. There are many other degrees that we hire for, so if you don't see yours on the list, it's still definitely a possibility that we hire for that position. But pay attention to each vacancy announcement that you see posted. Those may have specific degree requirements for those postings. Now that you're excited about your dream job, let's talk about another important aspect of Pathways, and that's pay. So your pay is based on your education requirements at the time of application. Our pay is set by the Office of Personnel Management, so you can check the website at www.opm.gov for more specific pay scales. There's also pay differences with locality, so some areas may receive more pay than others based on its location. Additionally, people who are seeking master's degrees or have STEM fields may also receive a higher pay. Again, you can check that out on opm.gov. And additionally, you can check each specific announcement for more information about pay for that field center. If pay isn't enough, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the other perks of being a Pathways intern on the next slide. So as mentioned, pay is definitely important, but there's a lot of other benefits that come with being a Pathways intern. Your promotion eligibility is based on your successful performance in Pathways, as well as your education requirements that are met. You can also earn health benefits, life insurance, you can earn annual leave and sick leave, you can start saving for retirement. But the most amazing part about it is that you may be eligible for a permanent or a term position at the end of your degree program and the completion of the requirements for Pathways. So that's the most awesome part. You may actually get a full-time job at NASA. You may be asking, when can I apply? So on the next chart, I'm going to tell you about some upcoming opportunities. So here's a snapshot of some of the upcoming opportunities that we have available for Pathways. These are going to be posted on usajobs.gov. And as you can see, we have several that are coming up very quickly, some even next week. Kennedy Space Center, Goddard Space Center, Ames, and Armstrong are all planning to post announcements very soon. So be sure to check those out on usajobs.gov. To make sure not to miss an opportunity, you can set up an account in usajobs.gov. And once you do so, you can also set up an alert, and it will notify you when those positions become available. So be sure to check out any of the postings available on usajobs.gov. Moving on, I'm really excited to talk about this next slide, which is about our Pathways Intern Agency Pilot. This is a new opportunity that's going to be coming available tomorrow. So this announcement should be posted tomorrow on usajobs.gov. So as soon as this webinar is over, be sure to go and get your resume ready post for tomorrow. What's different about this opportunity is instead of it being located at one field center, we have selected 3 human spaceflight centers, which is Johnson, Kennedy, and Marshall, where students will rotate to during their work tours. So for each work tour that they come, they will rotate to a different center. For this opportunity, we'll be looking for mechanical, electrical, aerospace, and computer engineers. Again, you'll want to check this out tomorrow. We're going to be posting for the first 75. That doesn't mean the first 75 applicants is all that we will take, but the day that we receive 75 applicants, we will close the announcement at the end of that day. So again, you'll need to make sure to apply by tomorrow. There are specific requirements for this. You have to have completed 60 semester hours. And then there's some stringent work tour schedule that's listed here on this slide that you'll be able to comply to. So I look forward to seeing your application tomorrow. And now I'd like to introduce Jessica Snyder at Langley, who's going to talk more about Pathways and her experiences.
Thank you, Julie, for that introduction. Hi, everyone. As Julie mentioned, I'm Jessica Snyder. I'm a Pathways intern at Langley Research Center. Originally from Mount Laurel, New Jersey, I went to school at Rowan University and got my bachelor's in mechanical engineering. And I'm currently pursuing my master's in aerospace engineering at Old Dominion University, which is in Norfolk, Virginia. I currently work as a flight simulation software engineering Pathways intern, where I program commercial aircraft flight simulators as well as spacecraft flight simulators. And Part of the reason why I chose NASA was for a lot of the reasons explained in that awesome promotional video. It's a very exciting place to work. I have a lot of core values that are in alignment with what NASA does, especially in the fields of astronomy and astronautics. And of course, there's a lot of really, really wonderful, excited, intelligent, kind people that work at this agency that I'm very proud to work along with. And just to lighten up a little bit, some of my hobbies include building model and high-power rockets in my free time, do a lot of STEM outreach, and I like to do a lot of baking too. So we're normal people too. So go ahead, moving on, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about what the application process looks like on usajobs.gov. So we've mentioned a couple of times the website where you can apply for Pathways positions is usajobs.gov. If you have not already made an account there, you will need to make an account in order to apply for any of the Pathways positions posted. So it's as simple as creating a profile, filling in all the required fields as you start your new account. You want to make sure that you indicate whether or not you are a veteran, because that may affect your application as you're applying for positions. You will need to create a separate resume inside of usajobs.gov. You might have familiarity with creating a resume in PDF format, which you would submit typically to a regular job application. However, all positions posted on USA Jobs requires that you use the resume creation system on that website. So you will have to re-upload all that same information from your PDF format resume onto usajobs.gov. However, you can have up to 5 different resumes saved on your account. This may be beneficial if you're applying to different positions that have different requirements or different vacancy announcement details. So that way you can choose a resume that's more specific to the job that you're applying for. You will want to indicate that your resume is searchable, especially when you start applying for these positions. You want to make sure that it can be seen by the potential employer. And in case you've never used USA Jobs before, you can create a search agent that will automatically notify you if Pathways positions become available on the website. And you can have the website email you sporadically, once a day, once a week, once a month, whatever you're happy with. You can just set up a search engine to search specifically for jobs that contain the titles like NASA or Pathways or NASA Pathways or NASA Internship. The positions posted at different centers might have slightly different titles, so that's something to keep in mind as you're setting up that search engine. But generally, if you encompass some of those keywords, you should be good to go. So moving on, I just want to talk to you guys a little bit about what you should include on your resume. So first and foremost, you want to include your contact information, including your address where you can be reached, city, state, zip code. You'll also want to use a professional email address. So that means if you've been operating on your, wizardwinner101@yahoo.com, it's probably time to update your email with something a little bit more professional, maybe associated to your name or your current title. Create a professional message on your voicemail. This would just be important in case any potential employer is calling, that they know who they're reaching in case you can't answer your phone. You can look up tips and tricks online about how to create a professional voicemail message on your phone. Also, some of you probably have familiarity with including references on your resume so that potential employers can contact them and find out more about what you are like as a student or as an employee. It's always in best practice to contact your references before putting their names on your resume. The last thing you'd want to do is have a potential employer trying to call one of them and your reference not answering because they don't recognize it or they're not expecting a call. Also, just in good habit to ask for permission ahead of time. Make sure you have some good references. Checking your spelling and grammar is also very important. What we would recommend is that as you're beginning to upload your resume to usajobs.gov, that you might copy and paste the text from your resume and put it in something like Microsoft Word or another writing application, and then do the spelling and grammar check through that application to make sure that all your spelling and grammar is correct. all of your spacing. It's a pretty simple and quick thing to do, so please don't overlook that step. It's important that you include all major education factors, including your GPA, your graduation date, degree level, major relevant coursework, basically anything that would be necessary for a potential employer to know, especially for pathways positions, about where you are in school, what your experience is. That'll be extraordinarily important as they're trying to make their decision about whether or not they believe you're a good fit for the position. And last but not least, please make sure to read the entire vacancy announcement. There is a lot of details in these job postings for pathways, and very often they're seeking specific candidates with specific degrees, or maybe at a specific level, whether you're undergraduate or graduate, and some other items related to your experience, generally at school or at work. So it's important to take note of any key details in that vacancy announcement that might be worth including in your resume if it's relevant to your experience. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to my colleague Marisa Garcia at Marshall Space Flight Center, and she's going to talk a little bit more about how to spruce up your Pathways resume.
All right, thank you, Jessica. So as she said, my name is Marisa Garcia, and I'm currently a Pathways intern here at Marshall Space Flight Center. I'm originally from El Paso, Texas. I'm currently working on my master's in mechanical engineering at the University of Texas at El Paso, or UTEP, and that's where I also got my bachelor's in mechanical engineering as well. Currently here at Marshall, I'm in the structural design, development, and analysis branch, where I'm currently working on designing and analyzing a bracket for an avionics unit that will be used on the SLS payload adapter. While I'm not here at Marshall and I'm back at school, I'm a graduate research assistant for UTEP Center for Space Exploration and Technology Research, or CSETR. And now, why NASA? So it kind of all started when my dad took me to the White Sands Missile Range Museum. When we were walking around, like there I saw a Darth Vader mask. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool, it's Darth Vader. And right next to it, I saw the NASA meatball, the NASA logo. And after reading it, apparently NASA helped out with some audio work for them. But in my mind, I was like, oh, NASA is my link to the Force. So, of course, I wanted to be one with the Force. Well, now that you know a little bit about me, now we'll continue on with this webinar. Okay, so making sure your resume stands apart from the crowd. So the great thing about the USA Jobs resume is that you're able to elaborate on all work experience, and you're able to show everything, even unrelated work as well. For an example, if you worked at Disneyland or something, you know, there are particular skills that you use while in that job. You know, maybe you helped with customer safety, you managed cash, you know. Really look into those jobs and look for those skills that you utilize and list them. And of course, since you're also able to elaborate in this resume format, you don't have to use bullets like typical one-page resumes. You know, you can really list what you did and explain thoroughly what you did at an internship or job. And you could also explain what you learned in that experience. Also, you should include any projects that you've worked on, volunteer experience, team experience, such as Solar Car, Robotics Team, Aero Club, or any philanthropy events that you've been a part of or helped at. Okay, now you need to think like the employee when you're writing your resume. You know, really think about when you're reading this resume, what would you want people to know about you? And really show your passion in your resume so it can be apparent to those reading it. And again, in the USA Jobs resume, you are not limited to one page like those typical resumes. You're allowed 5,000 characters per each job, and there are no limits to the number of jobs that you're able to put on your resume. NASA does limit resumes to 32,000 characters, including spaces, but that does not include field headings or that are provided by the USA Jobs Resume Builder. Also be very thorough in your resume. Don't leave anything blank. Fill everything out. Hours worked, your salary, the days that you were there, your supervisor. Fill it all out. And on the bottom of the USA Jobs resume application, there's a heading called Additional Information. definitely fill out that part as well with awards that you may have earned, your interests, and again, any of the outreach that you've participated in. Right? Continuing on to more resume tips. Okay, when you're creating your resume, tie your resume to the job that you're applying for. For example, if you're applying for an accountant job, talk about your experience in accounting work or business work. You wouldn't want to talk about any software or coding or robotics or anything like that, although that would be a great combination. Okay, and this next part, it's really important. The resume should be results driven. Use the SAR method or the situation action results method. Use action words such as managed, I assisted, responded, planned, coordinated. And then include numbers in there as well. For example, I implemented this plan, and as a result, attendance increased by 25%. This allows employers to really see what you have been able to achieve. And be very specific on your skills. Don't just say, I can code. Elaborate on that. What programming languages do you know? Like C, C++. And if you can speak multiple languages, include that as well. That's a huge perk, a huge advantage. If you know CAD programs, SolidWorks, NX, and analysis programs such as Abacus, HyperMesh, or ANSYS. Include all those on there, list it all. USA Jobs, you're able to elaborate on everything. Then also, manage your time, read and proofread. Oh, and you should note that there is a supplemental questionnaire that goes along with this application. So after submitting your application, applicants are required to fill out a supplemental questionnaire. The answers you provide are used to review your qualifications. So any inaccurate graduation dates or inaccurate majors or any missing info may lead you to being disqualified. And of course, none of you guys want that, so definitely be very thorough with that. Well, for example, saying you are getting an engineering technology degree instead of an engineering degree, or if you don't include your GPA or if you lie about your GPA, that could get you disqualified. So don't do that. Also, this is what I did, give yourself at least a week to get it done. But I know that the application for this pilot pathways program is opening at midnight. So, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and get on that resume, creating your resume now. So you're able to proofread it multiple times and have others proofread it multiple times as well, to perfect it. And that's something that I did. I actually started my resume in Word format because it made it easier to proofread it and check for grammatical errors. And then once I had it down there, I translated it to USA Jobs. Remember, the applications close at midnight Eastern time. So apply early and get it done. For me, I had my resume ready to submit 30 minutes before midnight. Had everything on there, but I actually waited 30 minutes after it opened just to triple check everything to make sure I had it down to a T. I didn't want to miss anything because I really wanted to be a part of this program. And just make sure you triple check everything before you submit it. All right, continuing on with contact information. Right here you can see a list of NASA websites where you can go ahead and contact us. There's an address for NASA, NASA HQ, Goddard, Kennedy, Johnson, Glenn, Ames, Armstrong, Marshall, Langley, Stennis, and NSSC. So go ahead and contact us through there. And again, we do have people here that are ready to answer your questions during this webinar. Continuing on. So again, give yourself a chance at this life-changing Pathways internship. Apply. Make sure if you're interested in this pilot program, get your resume done and apply today. Don't wait. Just do it. And now a motivational quote that can be found in almost every classroom around the world, and a quote that definitely motivated me as a kid. Shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you will land among the stars.